Hey, good afternoon. And this is a perfect time to have Mental Health Monday. Now, there are a lot of things that are going on. Have you been reading your Twitter lately? So, we're going to start with the right doctor, Dr. H. Gene Wright II. And we're going to take care of that in just 2 minutes, 2 seconds. And welcome back. I don't know what to say because everything that you could possibly say has been said. Yet, the Oscars, which has always been a celebration of accomplishments, everyone gets glammed up. They got the best designers and jewelry, and I mean, people even pay these celebrities to wear their clothes and their jewelry. Yet, Oscars have been troubled for years by the Black community. One, the lack of diversity, the lack of actual diversity being awarded, as well as diversity winning it, as well as the diversity managing it. This Oscar I was looking forward to because they had an entire Black production team. They had a well representation or a very diverse group of people being honored and nominated to win that covenant trophy. Yet, and the celebration of the passing of Sidney Poitier, the first African American man to win the Oscar. Nobody talks about that. All they talk about is the mental state of Will Smith. Now, I did, require studies of psychology, especially when I was going into actual being a child psychologist. But I like to refer to people smarter than me. With us, friend to the show, guest, and pretty soon he's going to be the star of The Right Doctor. Our friend to the show, you all know and love him, Dr. H. Gene Wright II. Doctor,
Hey, Vince, glad to be with you today.
always good to have you, Dr. Wright.
Yes,
Did you see the Oscars?
I did not. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, I heard that they were having low ratings and I didn't want to help.
the ratings are up now, brother. Everybody's talking about the slap heard around the world.
I feel bad, man. It's like, man, my name should have been in there. It's like, when the ratings went down, for the NFL, I'm like, I ain't watching the NFL. I'm not going to help them. and all of a sudden they make a comeback year. So don't go by me when it comes to predicting popular shows.
Oh man! Oh, wow! Look,
But I did hear about it, Vince, and I did see a couple tapes. My 16-year-old son showed it to me. He said, "Dad, what do you make of this?" I'm like, "Whoa, that's pretty serious." So yeah, I'm aware of what happened, but I didn't see it live.
Wow. Okay. For those of you who have been hiding on a rock for the last 36 hours, Will Smith nominated to get an Oscar for Best Actor in the role of King Richard, had, of course, a front row seat. And, of course, comedians do what comedians do. If you're in the front row, you're material. Okay, bottom line. And so Chris Rock, and this is a man who doesn't have blood on his hands because he's been after Will Smith and Jada before. He made comments about, Will being upset about not winning an Oscar, and everybody else was upset about him getting 240 million. So for one of the worst movies ever. But Chris Rock looked at Jada, and of course, Jada, life has been an open book, especially now that she has her Zooming show, the Red Table Talk, copied after one of my shows, Table Talk. That's right, I said it. Yeah, have Will come see me, okay? But Chris Rock made a reference to her hairstyle, and what she's openly said that she's dealing with alopecia. But of course, alopecia is very treatable, and women hair tend to grow back even better and more beautiful. But she was on The Equalizer with Queen Latifah, with her, bald cut. And, she was like G.I. Jane too. I mean, that's like what she played in The Equalizer. So Chris Rock made a joke about that. Will Smith got up just as he was doing his act and smacked the, as my grandma used to say, he smacked the taste out his mouth. Doctor, what would compel someone to get up on a globally televised show and assault another man?
Well, that's an excellent question, Vince. And I like how you set that up. I think there are several things. First of all, I need to be transparent with your audience and say that I am not in the habit of diagnosing folks from a distance on TV. But we all are human, and we all have that capacity to look and say, wow, what just happened here? So I think there's a lot of things we have to take in consideration. First and foremost, the Oscars, everything you said is true. It's a celebration. It's recognition. It's a party. So I'm assuming that there was probably some adult beverages being served. So I think that's the first thing you got to look at. And so when people imbibe adult beverages, it lowers your inhibitions, which means things that you may not do sober, you might do if you got a little buzz. All right. And so I got to take that first. The second thing is, you made an excellent point that he kind of laughed at first until he looked over at his wife, who was the one being insulted, or in this case, the butt of the joke. Nobody wants to be the butt of a joke, but it happens. And you're right, everything you said about the first row, blah, blah, blah. So if you put the adult beverages in context with insulting your wife, and then the look he got from his wife, who was feeling some kind of way by that joke, because she does have a serious condition. Something being treatable does not mean it's not serious. It's still serious condition. And so how much of that was him having his inhibitions lowered, or what we call in the country, because I'm from the country, we call it beer muscles. People go to bars and they drink a little too much, they get in fights. Well, this is Hollywood. This is high level. Yeah. But this is still a human being, and the bro is from West Philly. So you had all that together.
So since he's from West Philly, he didn't get beer muscles. He opened up a can of whoop.
You can take You can take the bruh out of West Philly, but you can't take West
Take the
Philly out the
wet blood
bruh.
the bro.
Okay. And so I think that was happening, man. It was a perfect storm. If he had it to do again, if he had time to think, he probably would not do that. I'm sure he's going to issue an apology to Chris Rock
Hasn't
and
happened
everyone
yet.
else. Well, I'm just saying he issued an apology, I heard, when he accepted his award, but he apologized to the Academy. He didn't apologize to Chris Rock.
Yes.
But he's going to have to. And I think what a lot of people are saying, again, everybody has something to say from the comfort of their keyboard.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of people are saying, you know, black men shouldn't be doing this and black men shouldn't air a dirty laundry, all that. Look, man, sometimes human beings are just human beings. All right. Now, I understand that the black community, we hold each other to a higher standard because we feel like we can't afford to be on center stage when some negativity like this happens and you're letting people behind the veil, so to speak. But in real time, I don't see this as a mental health issue as much as I see it as a combination of bruised ego, pride, adult beverages, and a situation where your wife gave you that look that said, "Are you gonna let that slide?"
Yeah, that look was like, "You gonna let that slide?" Oh,
now she wasn't probably.
You don't want
she
none
probably
of this,
wasn't
Will?
expecting.
What? You don't want?
Right, but she probably wasn't expecting him to get up and leave his seat, go to the stage, and assault another person. I don't think that's what she was looking for. She was just basically giving him that look like, "You're gonna let that slide." Now, what she expected him to do, I don't know how long she's known this man, but don't put a man in a situation where he's got some an ultimatum, right? Because sometimes they make bad decisions, and I think this was a bad decision on Will's part. So, but I don't think it's mental health.
Well, it's not the fact of beveraging or, in some people's case, over beveraging.
Well, I don't know what it was.
Look, I'm out with my wife.
Yeah.
Dude says something,
Crazy.
a little greasy. I mean, he was talking greasier than a Florida fish sandwich.
Hey.
After the tanker spilled. I mean, so
it wasn't, and it wasn't really that funny. It wasn't a funny joke.
Yeah, well, look, my wife gave me the look like, you know what's up, okay?
Yeah,
you know what's up.
It wasn't funny, but it didn't warrant a slap.
Okay, no, it wasn't funny. I mean, it was cute. It was cute. I mean, it wasn't as. I mean, look, Puffy got the worst razzing I've seen anybody in Oscar history. No, Pee Wee Herman, but
I remember that.
Yeah, so
he never recovered.
Yeah, so Pee Wee just got up there and said, "Anybody heard anything funny recently?" I mean, come on. Puffy, after he shot, bust a couple of caps in a nightclub, when who was it? Rosie O'Donnell hosted the Oscars. She said, "Yeah, we're going to get this brand new Western musical called Puffy Get Your Gun." I mean, come on.
But that was funny. There's a difference, Vince. If it's funny, you can let it slide. When it's not funny, then it sounds like an insult. I know it's splitting hairs. But Pee Wee Herman was funny. Rosie O'Donnell, that was funny. But Chris Rock's joke, that wasn't funny.
You from the country. Yeah, I mean, you grew up with people who are overly melon.
Yeah.
You know when you with your girl and somebody says something and she give you that look, you know what's going down.
Yeah, it's called toxic masculinity. He should have controlled himself. But no, what you're saying is right, Vince. That's why I said a combination of ego, bruised ego, pride, and beverages. Because when you put that combination in there, I don't care if you're a billionaire, a millionaire, accomplished actress. Look at what Kevin Garnett has been doing. What's his name? Kevin Durant. Let's switch entertainers for a moment, because sports is entertainment. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant got fined $25,000 because he cussed a fan out and basically, said, bring your ass out of here. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's just Kevin Durant. He's sensitive. Well, maybe he is. But other people say the fans have too much leeway. Just because you buy a ticket don't mean you shouldn't be able to insult somebody. So
What?
that's, again, a man who should be focused on the game and not on what somebody's saying in the stand, but he got them rabbit ears. He heard something, turned around and said something. Then we had another basketball player who actually was going into the stands and had to stop and actually confronted a player and was about to punch him out. Circa 1980s, the Malice in the Palace, if you remember that fight. When Meta World Peace, who used to be known as Ron Artest, took out a whole roll of fans. So
Mr. World Peace himself.
Mr. World Peace. Don't poke the bear, I guess is what I'm getting at. We have examples of people crossing the line, but there is never an excuse, short of somebody put their hands on you, for you to put your hands on. Chris Rock told a bad joke. It didn't warrant somebody getting up in his space.
But you just booed a bad joke. You don't get up and slap the taste out the man's mouth.
No, you don't. You don't. No, you don't. That's you don't. But we're talking about whether it was a mental health issue. And of course, we already, I think, established that it's not. But I was given the combination of things that make behavior what it is. Because I don't know, in a different circumstance, if all those things that we talked about, the environment, the stage, the adult beverages, the insult, whatever he and his wife may be going through behind the scenes, which is not always behind the scenes when you're a celebrity, it's in front of everybody, right? How much of that has something to do with it? So
hold on. Maybe it did, because we're only what, 12, 14 months past that big breakthrough announcement she did on her show and expressed to him how she had an affair with a younger guy.
And then he had to come out and defend their open marriage and the fact that they still in love and all that. He had to go out and have to say a couple things. And then he gets on, what was it, Oprah? And he said that they've never done anything outside their marriage.
Right, exactly.
So there's a lot going on here, Vince.
Whoa, Doc, wait a minute. Are there things that can bruise a man's ego more than his wife having sex with a younger man?
No, that's pretty much top of the list.
Call from Stanfield Clown.
So we're going to take a break because I forgot to turn off my phones. So I'll be right back. And we're going to ask another question. And then we're going to talk with Dr. Wright about some mental health issues that we're all experiencing. We'll be right back in just 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so we got rid of the telephone solicitor, and now I'm here with Dr. H. Gene Wright, the right doctor, especially for this show. So now, doctor, you were saying earlier that there could not be a blow to masculinity than a star like Will Smith being accomplished, nominated for Oscar after Oscar, Grammy Award winning at a young age. Yet, the desire of, look, there are some grown women who will leave their husband to sleep with Will, and he's all that, and his wife publicly announced that she had an affair with a rapper, a young one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. And again, I think we put too much on celebrity and wealth and those things as if that makes that person less human. And I think we need to guard against that, because that's the whole reason to have Mental Health Monday, is we're all human and we all are struggling with something. And as much as us poor people would like to think, oh, wow, money will make all the difference and change everything, ask somebody who got plenty of money if they don't have more problems.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So I'm just saying, it don't make you less human. That's all I'm saying.
Here's what I'm saying. He's human. And
He's human.
Get that. I get that, because, look, there are a whole lot of people I like to slap the cowboy stuff out of, okay? One of them old Matt Dillon, John Wayne's, my hand back in Texas. Yeah.
Hey, I guarantee you, Vince, by the time he got back to his seat and sat down and was uttering those words, keep your, my wife's name out your mouth. Once he calmed down from that, he's a smart enough man to know he had messed up. Okay?
But listen, his wife cheated on him. He didn't go slap the rapper. Come on.
Okay, let's talk about that. What's called immediacy. Okay, now, how many planes did he have to get on to go find a rapper? Chris Rock's right there. Chris Rock's right there. Look, so I'm just saying, to do that, that's conspiracy. That's planning. That is, okay, I got his name now. Let me go find him and I'm gonna do something to him. That ain't the same thing, man. This man reacted in the moment, immediately.
So since Chris Rock is there, that's what, passionate provocation?
Well, I'm saying that whatever he was feeling about what he heard on somebody's show is one thing. You got time to calm down from that. Yes, you're embarrassed. Yes, you may even be humiliated. But in the moment, he had a situation in the moment. All the planets came aligned. All the things that were going on behind the scenes between him and his wife, and I can't speak to that. I can only go by what the rest of the people I read. But you can't believe everything you read. We get this.
True.
All I'm saying is he made a rash decision. I won't even say decision. He reacted. That's why you shouldn't react. When you react to things, people have power over you. When you're proactive, that means you're putting some thought in. You're like, okay, what do I need to do? At the end of the day, is this the right thing to do? No, I'm pissed off. I'm embarrassed. He just insulted my wife. How do I want to handle that? Now that's happening in real time. But when you lower your inhibitions, and I'm making the assumption, and let's just be clear with the audience, I don't know this for a fact. I'm making the assumption that there were some adult beverages served and he probably partook of one or two. I don't know his personal what he does. He may not
could have been. They could have been a little more than some adult beverages.
Could have been, but I'm just saying I don't know that. I'm just saying when you're in that environment and you are a high level celebrity and it's a party. Everything you said is right. You got your best clothes on. You're on TV. You're smiling kind of at the joke because you're on the front row. You're on front and center, and all of a sudden this man comes in with a not funny joke, insults your wife, and you react instead of thinking it through. That's what I'm saying. And so I'm saying, now let's broaden this discussion, Vince.
Go ahead.
Let's broaden this discussion. In the last 2 years, what we've been dealing with?
A lot of violence.
Yeah. And even though there are celebrities and people with money and people who had a way to get through the pandemic better than other people did, it was still a shutdown. It was still stressful. There was still
isolation. There was still the anxiety of not knowing or not believing. And on top of that, you get a group of people who are angry about a vote that they lost, who decided to take it into their own hands and kill armed guards.
I'm just saying, you can't say that because a person is rich, a celebrity, famous, whatever adjective you want to put on them, doesn't make them less human. And in that moment, he made a very human, primitive human decision, which is to respond in violence. There's nothing wrong with getting angry. Everybody gets angry. Let me tell you something, man. Anger is an emotion like any other emotion.
Natural, healthy.
It's not stronger or weaker than another emotion.
Right.
What happens with people, the reason anger has a bad rap, reason people look at anger like, oh, don't get angry, it's because of what people do when they're angry. But let's look at the other side. Anger could also be beneficial. Ever got a bad score on an exam?
Oh, yeah.
Anger may make you study a little harder next time, may make you put some work in.
Anger,
you get embarrassed on the basketball court?
Yeah.
Anger may make you practice a little harder, make you do a little better. Anger can be a catalyst. Anger could be a catalyst to something positive.
No, it's just gonna make
in and of itself is not a bad thing.
Anger's just gonna make me call Will Smith. Yo, man, look, I got the situation.
What do you do when you're angry? That's what we're saying, Vic. What do you do?
Right.
And so the bottom line is this. There's been a lot of stress lately. There's been a lot of isolation, as you put. I like that word. That's exactly what's been happening. Regardless of your level or your financial state in life, here is a big party. Maybe, did they have the Oscars last year or was it remote?
They had it in a tent.
Right. And the year before, it was remote.
Right.
Right. So this is the first really big outdoor, hey, it's all good now. We all on center stage now, right?
Right.
And they're all human, regardless of what we put them on these pedestals and social media and everything else. And he made a poor decision based on a knee-jerk reaction to a feeling of humiliation, embarrassment. And in this case, he probably was okay until he saw his wife was not okay.
Oh, when them eyes started rolling?
Yeah. So I'm saying you have to factor in that as part of his reaction, because he was telling the joke and leading up to the joke, he was laughing.
Yeah, he was.
And then it changed when he was like, wow, that was kind of personal. He went in for the juggler on her. He hit her to one place. She is vulnerable, and that's her health. You want to make fun of somebody's acting? Hey, go for it. You want to make fun of somebody singing? Go for it. But when you're dealing with a health issue that you can't help and it's out of your control, I don't know, man. That you might want to stay away from that. And I'm not saying he deserved to be slapped. I'm saying he pushed buttons on a person who was not prepared to process that insult.
But the danger of actual having propecia is just the social embarrassment, or even, but most of that is more in your head, that you believe that people are thinking about or talking about you than actually what's really happening. I mean, look, and it's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's bad, but it's curable and it's not life-threatening. It's not like she's sitting up there on a respirator, breathing her last breath, trying to see her husband win an Oscar.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. What matters is what you said at the beginning of that statement, which is how people feel about themselves and how they feel about a deficiency of any kind. And the fact that I didn't voluntarily sign up for my condition, it's like when people talk about, oh, he's going to have minor surgery tomorrow. Well, it's only minor because it ain't yours. Okay.
But when you're going through it,
talk about, oh yeah, he's having minor surgery.
You at the church praying before the surgery. You got the pastor playing. You praying on prayer. You got your rosaries out. You call up everybody. I'm getting my tooth pulled, but I'm inside my will. Okay, I love you.
Hey, when you hear somebody talk about minor surgery, they ain't the ones having it. Okay?
There you go.
So that's what I'm saying, man. She didn't sign up for that, and I get it. She's not diagnosed with a terminal illness. I get it. But the bottom line is, again, think about the industry that these people live in, right?
To her, image is everything in that industry. And
now, if I choose to shave my head because I'm playing a role, well, you know what? I'm going to exercise my freedom to, I'm going to be a woman that's bald. And I got plenty of hair and I can grow it anytime I want. That's different than something was taken from you because of a health condition. So that's what I mean. So no, I'm not trying to blow it up like this is some terminal illness. No. I'm saying that you are in a situation where people may be feeling some kind of way already. That's all.
Okay, now we're going to take a break and we're going to swing to a whole. We're going to take a break. We're going to swing to a whole different subject. I'm Vincent Squire, and I'm with the right doctor, Dr. H. Gene Wright. And this is what you got to say. Now we're going to be right back in just 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Okay, we're back. And I'm Vincent Squire. This is what you got to say. And this is Mental Health Monday with the right doctor, Dr. H. Gene Wright II. Dr. Wright,
Yes.
our country's mental state has not improved. In fact, it's taking another, that pendulum is taking another shift. We went from unknowing frustration, anger, and now the masks are off. And in certain places, we're out in public and breathing a little bit, and people are getting really cocky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you make a good point. And I think that just like it was hard to predict individual behavior and group behavior when we had the pandemic come on us, all of a sudden, nobody knew what to do. We were all unprepared, including our leadership from the top down, from the head of the country down to your local mayor. Nobody was prepared. And I think now that the country has been gradually opening up, and you may, if you're reading in your area, you may have specific dates where people are going back to work, at least 1 or 2 days a week and all. This is all good news. But it's not unlike what I used to talk about with some of my guys that were incarcerated. And I used to talk about the fact that, hey, sometimes, if you haven't been through trauma before you are incarcerated, you will be when you get there. And if you're not traumatized before you there, when you get out, you will be. Now, what did I mean by that? And every one of them that has returned to the community has come to me and said, man, you're right. I'm glad you predicted that for me, because now let's talk. And so what I mean by that is most human beings are able to adjust to the circumstances that they find themselves. The challenge is difficult, though, when the circumstances were put upon you, right? And so being in a stressful situation not of your own making, which was the pandemic, figuring out how to survive and how to make it through that, right? Which was, everybody kind of making it up as they go, or as they say, building the plane in the air, right? And now you're sort of almost kind of on the outside back to whatever this is. I can't say normal, because that ain't what it is, but you have some freedom of movement. Let's put it like that. You're right, the masks are off. But now what do you do with this new freedom, right? Everybody's doing it differently. And so again, just like there was no manual for how to handle the pandemic, apparently there's no manual in how to handle this newfound freedom, right? Some people are just going into grocery stores, they're going in places you don't know who's vaccinated and who's not. So
Right.
maybe you should be a little more cautious in going into places you normally don't go unmasked. I'm just saying,
Right.
you know, you may not have the luxury of knowing what the circumstance, the health circumstances, when you're out in public and out and about, going to ball games as an example, going to very large public events where large numbers of people who you don't know are going to be, right? That's not the same thing as having 20 of your favorite friends in your backyard for a barbecue. Not the same thing, right?
Right.
So that's what I mean. And so that same kind of worry and angst and more, what is this? I see it in some pockets of people now that they're returning. Some people are like really upset, like, wow, I don't know why people took their mask off just because they said the mandate's off. Other people are like, man, I've been waiting on this for a while. They took it, they threw them away, and they're not ever wearing one again. Other people are a little more on the fence, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna take this, but I'm not going nowhere, right?
Right.
You got other people, they going to Florida for vacation.
Right.
You know, because if you want to just be brave, go to Florida without a mask. All right. So there's this whole thing.
But we've already established, I would say maybe 9 months into the pandemic, of our inner circle and who we were going to be around and be with. So now we're expanding out of that inner circle and feeling a bit uncomfortable.
I think some people are, and some people are feeling very comfortable, and maybe too comfortable because they've totally acted like we're out of the danger zone. There's no more problem. Life is back to normal, and that's not entirely true.
But it's still increasing. We don't hear the media because all they talk about now is the war. But you know, before when when the virus, the numbers and everything, people stopped noticing that it's up in Europe and it's up in China, and we always seem to follow after those patterns.
Well, yeah, and because people are so free to travel now, it just because it may not be up in our country yet, doesn't mean that people aren't going and they're traveling and they're going to come back. I'll give you an example. And I just read this last week, I believe it was one of the Samoan islands where they didn't have any cases. Now they got 200,000.
Yeah, well,
and it was
they announced that they didn't have any cases, and all these infected people went running there.
Well, I don't know how that happened, but the point is, there's nothing wrong with being read up, you know, taking some precaution. I'll say that because you certainly don't want to use scare tactics. My point of saying that it's a mental health issue is because we still have people that have not recovered from the 2 years we just came through. Right. And by simply saying, oh, it's all good now, we're forgetting people who are still traumatized by what has happened. We still need to help people. We still need to provide services. We still need to support individuals. And what doesn't help them is the mindset that we're all good now.
We can't be. People are still grieving. We're talking about over 500,000 lives gone.
600,000. Yeah.
600,000 lives gone.
Yeah.
We're talking about people who businesses are ruined.
Yeah.
We're talking about children who have missed 2 years of education. No. We're not all right.
What I would like to see, and I mentioned this before, and you and I have talked about this offline, and I don't know if this is possible, but 9/11 in 2001, we are, as a country, we suffered a tragedy, and we not only survived, we thrived because we came together as a country.
Right.
And so this has really been just stuck in my brain for some reason, and I can't get it out. But the reaction of service, the reaction of support and helping one another lasted a good long time before we got into this craziness starting in 2016.
Yeah, Halle Berry and Denzel Washington won the Oscar that year.
Well, I don't know if that was the reason, but I think we need more of that now. Some of that same unity, some of that same even though I may be healthy, I know there are people who aren't. Even though I may not have had those losses, I know people who have. And so what can we do as a community? I won't even say the country, because that's kind of big for people right now. But what can we do in our communities to kind of
Doctor,
remind people that, hey, I got your back. We're going to be okay. You know,
doctor,
yeah.
here is the thing,
Hmm.
and I'm with you on that.
Okay.
I mean, look, I went through during the pandemic, the early starts of it up until the middle. I went through daily checklists of people to call to see if they were okay. If you needed anything, and I can find it, I'll drop it off at your doorstep. The whole issue. But we have went through one, the divider in chief, who actually kept us from coming together. We have went through the misinformation and the disinformation about what will make us better. We have went through people saying that, going around talking about there is no pandemic, take your mask off.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
do you think too much damage has been done to kind of right the ship a little bit? It's too much happened.
no, I don't think that too much damage has been done to right the ship. I think that we have not done properly what was needed to heal from the past experience. One of the things in dealing with people with post-traumatic stress is not to say that, it's over like that. Your stress is gone. No, that bruise, that injury, that reoccurrence of them reliving all of that pain and trauma stays with them for a long time.
I like how you say that. That means I've been rubbing off on you, Vince. You said
Yes,
that
you
just like
have.
Dr. Wright was saying. You said it just like Dr. Wright was saying. But that's exactly what's going on, that we can't simply erase what happened. At the same time, I understand why people are tired of talking about it. I get it. I understand that people want to move on.
Because we're exhausted with it.
Yes, and yes. People are exhausted. However, both things can be true at the same time. You can be exhausted and you can also have hope, right? And so the bottom line is, what can we do in small increments to reclaim ourselves and reclaim our communities, reclaim our health, reclaim those things that were lost, but now they're going to be different. They're never going to be the way they were. So I'm not one of those people who are looking for the good old days. I'm not that, that ain't even my mindset. There are no good old days to be rehat, because once you wake up, it's yesterday, right? And then right now we have what we have, and soon it will be tomorrow, and then that will be yesterday. So I don't cling to even past glory. Certainly not going to cling to past hurts, but it's not that easy. You use the word PTSD, or the acronym, I should say, PTSD,
Yes.
post-traumatic. That sums up a lot of what people are dealing with, even if it's not something that rises to the level of a mental health diagnosis. Even having symptom like PTSD, which is the worry, the stress, all that stuff. There are things that we can do as individuals and as a community to kind of make sure that people are okay, because it's okay to not be okay.
Okay, so before we can heal, we have to find our humanity again.
I think they happen simultaneously. I don't think there is this has to happen before that can happen. I think we have to just say, you know what? We've all been through a lot, and I'm going to be the one. I'm not going to wait on Vince. I'm not going to wait on my neighbor. I'm not going to wait on my mother, whoever.
The government.
I'm going to be the one to show humanity. I'm going to be the one. And just like you can pass along hate and mistrust and disillusionment, you can pass that stuff along. You can also pass positive things like support,
love,
like resilience, love, all those things. Now, you don't snap your fingers. I like how you did that before. It's not a snap your fingers or wave a magic wand kind of thing. It is an intention in one individual at a time that rubs off on other individuals who kind of say, wow, this is a breath of fresh air. It is far more healing, and it feels better to be human than to be hateful. Now, people don't know that because there is such misery, there is such pain. They've been disillusioned, they've been tricked hoodwinked, if you will, to thinking that being hateful and being cruel and striking out at others, that somehow that gives you power. No, it doesn't.
We romanticize it and we glorify it. We glorify violence.
Well, it's in all our movies.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Oscars, it's in all of our movies.
Yeah.
It's in our music, right? It's on social media. That's cute. You can get lots of ratings and you can get lots of likes if you're doing something stupid to somebody else.
Or
So,
you saying
no, you're
something
right.
incredibly stupid.
Yeah, it's a culture. It's a
Yeah.
culture. But guess
Yes.
what? Cultures can be influenced by individuals who decide to stand up for something.
Okay. Not culture can be influenced by the individuals, but what I see now is that the individuals are influenced by the culture.
No, you're right. But that happens because culture is created by individuals.
Yes.
And so it's not a chicken egg thing. It's a both and thing. And so as we saw it turn in the negative, we can point to, now that we have history on our side, we can point back to how it happened.
Mhm.
When there was love and humanity that was manifested, we have history on our side. We can point back to how that happened. So if we take those two things, only understand what I'm saying, Vince, the past is only good for what we learn from it.
Right.
Otherwise, you gotta let it go.
Which is
good,
why
the
the
bad,
rear view mirror is so much smaller.
Yeah. And so what can we take from it that is worth keeping? I guess is what I'm really saying. What can we take from the hurt, the pain, the joy, and the triumph? Because that's what life is. Life is a mixture of both, right? There are some people who feel like, no, my life is all pain. My life is all hurt. Okay, I get it. Let's have a conversation about that, right? Because you're going to find that if you keep waking up every day, there's a reason why, right? And it's not for more pain, but you have to have a conversation. You can't just say that and people believe you, right?
But doctor, there are people who feel like their life is all misery and all pain, and they decide to end their life.
Yes, yes,
And
that's
that's on the rise.
No, you're right, and it's on the rise in some of the most unpredictable or populations that normally wouldn't have that, like African American teens.
African American communities, because they're like, no, I love me too much to kill me.
Yes, and you're right. That has taken a turn during these last 2 years at a rapid pace. And so we're not saying that people do not have a reason to be miserable. We're not saying that people do not have a reason to be tired. What we're saying is that most people, if they could get anyone to listen to them, to share their story, to have a conversation, to share with somebody, that's what we have found has been working well, especially for young people. Many young people that have decided to take their life have determined that there was nobody that could talk to, that there was no one who could feel what they feel. Nobody's hearing me. And that's one of the main things. Think about it. Human beings are interdependent. That means we need each other. And so that little bit, that one hug, that one smile, that one acknowledgement for some young person would have made the difference. I can't speak for all, but there's many that simply need to have somebody say, you're valuable to me.
But that's what the pandemic has taken away, the need for human touch. I mean, I'm in church. Our church has opened up almost a year now, but yet we go through very stringent precautions, sterilizing, masks, distancing. I mean, even right now, and one thing that I really miss, I love being in church, but what I really miss about our church now and our church before the pandemic was that I can go there and give somebody a hug.
Yeah.
I got, my church mothers who all just, give me a hug and a piece of peppermint. I mean, yeah, that's right. 60 years old, and I still want my hug and my peppermint. but we've missed that human touch. Has that made us so aggressive, stone-hearted, fatalistic, depressed? Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think that those people who are that way were that way. And the pandemic didn't make them more fatalistic or cruel or mean, and that those it's like people who say, oh, you got old and grumpy. No, let me tell you,
No,
data tells me that old grumpy people were young grumpy
young
people.
grumpy people. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get grumpy because you got a few more years on you. So
No,
the same thing
no,
with
no,
this.
no. See that increase because you're older now, and I ain't scared of you. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, you're grumpy. See.
Yeah. But no, what we're seeing now is depravity that already existed. It was already
So,
there. It was hiding dormant until they had a leader that could say, it's okay to be a jerk. It's okay to talk any kind of way you want to somebody. It's okay to open fire on innocent, delivery boys, delivery people. It's okay to walk into a store and be aggressive, abrasive, and assaultive. That behavior did not happen because of a pandemic. That
mhm.
behavior already existed in the people that feel that way about life. They were already thinking that they were marginalized. Think about it. The group of people who are doing these kind of things are people who already felt separated from the rest of society in some kind of way. They had their own little pockets, their own little cliques of, hey,
Mhm.
we're getting a raw deal in this country kind of thing. We're going to take our country back, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That
We're not
already
going. We're
existed.
not going back to the Obama administration.
Well, no, we want to go back to Civil War days. That not
Yeah.
about what we
Yeah.
don't want to do, it's about what we do want to do.
That's right.
And so the thing is that mindset of hate, the mindset of dominance, the mindset of supremacy, the mindset of I'm better than you just because of how I look. That mindset existed already, and all we had, similar to what I described with the Oscars, what we had in this country was the perfect alignment of planets to get that hate off. All you needed was a leader to mine. When I say mine, I mean like mine it like diamonds. You needed somebody who go in there and stir it up. You needed somebody to go in there and take the cover off and say, hey, I know y'all been feeling this way a long time. Follow me. We're going to
Follow
kick some
me.
butt and take some names. When you
Yes.
had that mentality, it's not that the whole country felt that way. It's that there was a large group of people who felt marginalized because of what they saw as special interests or people who looked different than them gaining in some type of way that was insulting to them. So
Oh,
what
yes,
I'm
that's
saying
right.
is,
It's insulting that we got a president of color.
no, no,
It's
no. I'm not even
no,
saying that.
no,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
I'm saying the
no.
whole piece.
No, no. Well, here's the thing. Statistically, those
Mm-hmm,
people who felt marginalized of the European descent, you
mm-hmm.
know, and and that pocket is that it's such a small demographic, yet they make the loudest noise.
Well,
So
it's
they
not
see,
small anymore. It's not small anymore. And what we learned in 2020 is that even though the most egregious of the group may be smaller than usual, the belief system of the group is pretty large, some 74 million, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly.
yes,
So
no, but
there's a
those
group of,
74 million got shouted down by the 86 million that voted for
no, I got
Biden.
you. I got you. But I can't say that the majority of the 74 million were the ones who are wanting to shoot people and calling folks out their name and doing all that. I think you're right. That is a smaller population.
Storm the Capitol.
Right. And 74 million people didn't storm the Capitol. That was a small group. I get it. But what I'm saying is the mindset of hate. That's what I'm really talking about.
Yeah, now
That,
that's big.
yeah, the mindset of hate is huge. And so
Yes.
we see the residual effects of that when people don't get their needs met, when they feel put upon, and they feel it's the society's fault, it's the government's fault, it's those people who don't look like me's fault. That's the mentality I'm talking about, that mentality of hate. There is something happening inside that individual. And apparently, it's a group of folks that something's not going well in their life, whatever that is. And they feel like I have a right, I am entitled to do and say whatever I want. And you don't deserve because you're not like me,
You,
you're not as good as me. So you have to take it. And
you're
this
not
is what I'm
like
saying about
minded.
this. And this is how I connected to the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
because this existed before the pandemic. A lot of this hatred stuff existed before the pandemic. The difference is we got a chance to glimpse what humanity can look like when the whole population is dealing with the same killer.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about. That's when you heard me say, we're not all in the same boat. We're in the same storm. You've heard me say that lots of times.
Right,
We
right,
got different boats because we come from different places. The
right,
storm was the same. And so
right.
how do people act in a storm? Well, trained sailors act different than people who are on a cruise ship, right? Right? People who are on a vacation don't act like trained sailors, right? And so how do you act in a storm? Some people rise to the occasion. Other people do not. And what we've had is a large continuum of people who we have now seen in real person life what it looks like when people are not able to deal with stress, anxiety, and those kind of things. Some people
Well,
become hateful and other people rise to the occasion. And as you said, love, provide hope, provide support, all those things.
well, that's all the time we have for Mental Health Monday with the right doctor, Dr. H. Gene Wright. Doctor, I know you're working on a new book, but tell us how people can get the old book. I mean, I tell you, the book on thriving is incredible.
Thank you very much. The name of the book is Find Strength in Your Struggle, Discover the Miracle in You. And you can go to my website, Dr. H. Gene, that's Jean, drhgene.com. You can pick that up, or you can go to Amazon.com as well. So you can go to my website and get it, or you can go to Amazon and get it.
Okay, for those of you watching us on Facebook, on Roku, on YouTube, Venmo, and you will see Dr. Gene, his Mental Health Monday, next Monday on Comcast, channel 190, 5 p.m. I'm Vincent Squire, and Dr. Gene, as always, I thank you. Your wisdom, knowledge, compassion, and expertise has always been a blessing to me and people on this show. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Yeah, we're all in different boats. Yeah, we're going through the storm. But one thing I've seen about the pandemic is that it did not change the nature of people. For a lot of people, it exploited their nature. And we've had so much of the negativity being huge on social media because it drives ratings, just like sex and violence drives ratings. Because as we said before, those are the things that we glorify. Yet we don't sit there and we sit there and we look at what we don't have instead of being thankful for what we were blessed with. And when we do that, we go into a whole deep hole, a black hole of need and wants and this, and what that person has, they don't deserve because they're not like me. Or what that person does, they don't deserve to do it. I should be doing it because I'm superior. And all that does is continue that cycle of violence, anger, frustration, suicides at a high rate, child abuse, domestic violence at a high rate, all going through this because people are so worried about themselves. Dr. Wright said it. Maybe it's about time that we step up to the plate and start showing love, compassion, humanity. The Bible always talks about the fruit of the spirits, in which there are no laws against. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you are hurting, how would you like someone to come and help you? Then show that by helping someone that way. We are all in the storm. And as the cloud is now coming, as some people say, the cloud is passing us over. And yeah, predictions may be right, and we may be through it. Or we could just be going in that period of the eye of the storm, and the next wave is coming to us. Whichever one we're coming to, it's up to you to show the example of what a good person is supposed to be and to do. I'm Vincent Squire. If God will it, I'll be back tomorrow to discuss the issues of our life, and I'll be with the three wise ones. God bless everyone.